help me, I'm stressed out. I mean, everything is just falling apart. People getting on my nerves at the job. My husband's getting on my nerves. They're trying to cut back on my hours. How in the world am I going to pay for my car? I haven't been feeling like myself lately. I just can't take anymore. I'm just sick of it all. Have you ever felt like that? You may have had some days like that. I know I have had those days where I felt like, Lord, the cup runneth over. Please help. And today we're going to talk about 5 tips to help you manage and overcome those stressful feelings. And it's definitely going to detail about 1 tip as well in particular that really has helped me and made a big difference on how I deal with day-to-day stresses. So without any further ado, welcome back to my channel. All right, so let's get started. As I was, just thinking and asking God what to talk about today, this topic dropped in my mind, and then I just happened to stumble across an article, and it was talking about, basically the title of the article was that stress and guilt will do more damage to your health than a chocolate cake. Okay. And I am a living witness to that. I can remember a period of my life where it was just extremely stressful in my relationship. And even though I was eating right and doing, those sort of things and working out, the stress from just the going through what I was going through and the negative thoughts, it was still taking a toll on me physically. So we have to have a balance, not only on what we eat to put in our body, but also how we deal with our minds and our thoughts and what's going on in there. So let's get to it. Number 1 tip, you got to learn how to let go and let God. You know what I'm saying? There are just some things that are totally out of our control, and we just have to trust God about that situation. And so you have to pause in that moment and say to yourself, what can I control about the situation? And then that's what you focus on, what you can control. And then the part that you don't have any control over, someone else's behavior, you say, you know what? I release that person to God. I release the situation to God that I can't handle. And I trust you, God, to work this for my good, because you promise in your word that all things work together for good for them that love the Lord. Amen. And now the parts you can handle. Let's be real. Sometimes you feel so overwhelmed, like, you know what? I just can't do anything. I have been there days where it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be paying these bills. I'm supposed to be doing this. I am just so overwhelmed. I don't feel like doing anything. And in those moments, you want to be able to just pause and do something that restores your soul. And so if that's music, pause in that moment, put on your favorite music and just, cry out to God. If you got your essential oils that you just need to just pause, don't try to force yourself to do anything. Just kind of gather yourself back together. And maybe you just have to do baby steps, and that's okay. It's better to do baby steps than nothing at all, because you will be surprised if you say, you know what? I don't feel like I can handle all this today. Say, well, what I can do, I'm going to set aside 5 minutes to work on my bills. And you know what? If you do just that chunk of 5 minutes, it's better than you doing 0. Because a lot of times what will happen, if you set that timer for 5 minutes, you will end up doing more than what's expected. Versus saying, okay, I'm going to set aside an hour and do nothing at all. So remember the power of breaking things down into small, manageable chunks when you're already feeling overwhelmed. Okay. Number 2, I think that was all in number 1. Yes, it was. Be more assertive. Learn how to say no. No to extra responsibilities that you can't handle right now. I know for some people this is easier than others. I always thought of myself as a very assertive person, but then I caught myself in certain situations when I wasn't as assertive as I should have been. So that made me be more cognizant of my own decision making patterns. So get ahead of time, formulate your no's so that they'll come to you easier, especially if you're used to saying yes all the time. So for instance, just practice how you would say no. You know what I'm saying? You may, for instance, give you some examples, and feel free to use these examples if it fits your personality. You may say, if I could, I would, but I'm really not able to do that at this time. If I could, I would, but I'm really not able to do this at this time. Okay, so that's one way. Art, you could say, I'm not able to do that. I hope you understand. I'm not able to do that, but I hope you understand. So you can still be kind, still be loving, and yet still draw those healthy boundaries. So you're not saying, oh, yes, I can lend you this money. Oh, yes, I can babysit for you. Oh, yes, I can take you to the moon and back. And really, you are so burnt out, so tired. You have nothing else to give anyone, or your bills are in the rear, because you've been just giving, and not taking care of your own household. And so you have to have those healthy boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with helping someone out of your excess or in an emergency, a true emergency situation. But when it's become an ongoing habit that's just draining you, it's past time to say no politely, but still no. So being assertive when needs be. And then the other tip that I have here, uh, and I kind of touched on this already, but having like a portable anti-stress kit that you can take with you. And I was good about doing this at my last job that I really did not like. I have my lavender essential oil, my the little squeeze balls with stress balls. I'll take moments to do my deep breathing. Maybe you have to have your playlist ready for you to listen to. So yeah, just be prepared and have things that will help you to de-stress and relax. And then this other one is very powerful, and is journaling. Just taking time to write Dear God letters and letting it just flow from your heart to God. And that's something that I do often. Whenever I do my Bible reading, I always have my journal with me. And I like to just sometimes just sit there quietly and listen to hear God speak to me. And he does speak. Like, I hear words of encouragement. And it may sound like your voice, but that's God speaking to you through your voice. You know how? Because God speaks to us in different ways. He may speak to you through you looking up at the sky and just being in awe of his creation. So he speaks to us in many different ways. But taking that quiet time, that personal time, writing out your feelings to God, writing down things that inspire you, that you hear in your spirit, all of that will help you. So taking time to journal every day, giving thanks for what you do have, because we have so much to be thankful for. But the enemy has a way of having us to focus on what we do not have instead of focusing on what we do have, and using what we do have, to multiply it to go even more into all that God has for us. Now, the last tip, I believe, is going to be the one that, before that last tip, this one, I also, right now, if your problem is you don't make enough money, then write out a plan. I want to get a better paying job, and then put action steps to that plan. So each week I will apply to make at least one application towards a new job. So don't just stress about your problems, Write down the solutions. And again, I don't care how tiny those steps may be, as long as you're making steps forward, you will reach your destination. So if you feel like, oh, I'll be overwhelmed trying to apply for a job, look, if you want a better paying job, and the solution is finding another job, and a part of finding that next job, you have to do the application process. Well, hey, just say, I'll set aside 60 seconds a day to work on that application. I'll set aside 5 minutes a day to work on that application. I don't care how small the chunk of time is. As long as you're working on your goal, guess what? You're going to finish that application. And what really happens is once you get started, you usually will go even further. So just remember that. Take the baby steps. Do something that's going to make your life different. And then the last tip that really has made a difference in my perspective in life, in my outlook in life. And I got to give credit to the person, because they taught me that in college. You always had to give credit. I was a English creative writing major, and you had to always give credit to the writer. So I'm really good at that. And it's James Clear is the name of the writer. And I will put a link to his article as well in my description. And basically, he was saying that, for instance, if we're like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I got to go to this stupid job. I'm just so tired. I'm overwhelmed. I got to cook. I got to clean. I have to deal with these bills. And the little change, he said, is instead of looking at it in that way, say it like this: I get to go to work. I get to take care of my children. I get to be able to read books to go to school. I get to be able to be there for my parents. I get to be able to cook for my family. It just gave me a whole different perspective when, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I got to do this again, I look at it as what it truly is. It is a blessing, because there's someone somewhere right now who would not blink an eye to change places with you, because you are blessed beyond belief. And when we begin to allow our visions to change and to really see how blessed we are, even more blessings will be added to our lives. So we need to wake up with the attitude like, I get to live today, and I get to do things today that I love and enjoy. So yes, there may be parts of our days that are not our most favorite, but you can make sure that somewhere in that day, you do at least one thing that God gave you that makes you happy. If that one thing is dancing and you got to dance alone in your house, do that. If that one thing is you always wanted to be an artist, go ahead and draw. You know what I'm saying? Hey, post it on the internet. And even if no one else ever bought it, you will have the satisfaction of knowing you are doing what you love. And when you get lost in doing what you love and enjoying the process, it just seems like so many things open up for you. So I just wanted to share these tips with you that will help you beat the stress, and each day take it moment by moment. Even if you feel overwhelmed, like I said, take baby steps. Even if it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, just keep moving forward and know that God loves you much. I hope that you will join me in this journey as we go from better to best. Please be sure to subscribe, leave me a comment, letting me know which one of these tips do you feel is going to really be helpful to you. And please do share if you know of another friend who could benefit from this. And just remember, until the next time, you already got it going on, simply because God made you. You got it going on because God made you. You got it going on because God made you. You got it going on because God made you. So stretch your stuff now. Stretch your stuff now. Stretch your stuff now because God made you.